See all these beautiful laces and pretty blings? Come along and I'm going to show you how to build one of these pretty little purses, similar to the one that I made in my last design team project that was an upcycle of a cosmetic bag. Let's make a little purse from scratch. Let's decorate it up with gorgeous laces and trims from AngeldreamCraftsKim on Etsy. And let's do it together. So here's the tutorial. I hope you enjoy it and stay tuned to the end. Hi everyone, it's Karen, and I wanted to come back and make a little purse like this with you. This is the one I made last week. I decorated it. I upscaled a cosmetic bag, but I really wanted to make one from some paper and just show you how easy it is to do, and then you could make one too. And these just make the cutest little boxes to put gifts in and give to somebody, and they're just so sweet. And this is my prototype that I made, and this is all the laces that were in my favorites, my haul from AngeldreamCraftsKim. And that was last week sometime I did a haul video, and these are the ones I used on this little purse. And you can see how big it is when you open it up. And all it is a 12 by 12 sheet of paper and some markings on it and some folds. That's it. There's no cutting. It's super, super easy. And I will leave the video that inspired me. I can't think of the lady's name, but I will leave it in the link below so you can watch her video too, because she is very good at explaining how to make it. And sometimes it's helpful to watch a couple people make them. So I just want to show you that if you don't have a scoreboard, you can still make this little purse. So you just mark out the measurements, and I will give them all to you, but it's 3/4 of an inch, and then 4.5 inches, 7.5 inches, and 11.25 inches is what you're marking off on your paper. So if you have just a ruler and a pencil, you start across your 12 by 12 piece of paper and mark in with a pencil. And then I usually would do that twice because I find one line is not quite enough to line it up. So 3/4 again, 4.5 inches, 7.5 inches, and 11.25 inches. And you're going to make little marks on your paper with your pencil, and then you're going to use your ruler and line those up. And these are going to be your fold lines. And you will just carefully fold using your ruler afterwards to fold all those lines. So there is a way to do it without a scoreboard. Now, I have a scoreboard, and I don't use it that often, so I hauled it out, and I am going to use my scoreboard. So your 12 by 12 paper on your scoreboard, and you're scoring at 3/4 of an inch. Sorry for the repetition. 4.5 inches, 7.5 inches, and 11.25 inches. And I recommend, especially for the first one that you make, you use a non-directional paper, and you can use a paper that's double-sided, or you can use paper that has just a pattern on one side, which is what I'm using. Directional paper is a little bit more complicated, but after you make one, you'd be able to figure that out. So again, now you turn the page, and you do 2 3/4 inches, a score, and 9.25 inches, you do another score. And that's it, guys. Those are your score lines. These are your fold lines. Super, super easy. So now you fold over your 3/4 inch score line on one side and the other. What you want to do is you want to fold and burnish all your score lines so that everything is nicely folded up. It will make making the rest of the purse a lot easier because you already have established the fold lines really well. So, and those 3/4 inch, those are going to become your tops of your purse. So now just go along and fold all your other score lines, and remember to give them a really good burnish. You can use anything really. You can use your scissor handles. You can use a bone folder if you have it. And so that, and then we've got 2 more to do. Again, just doing the same thing, folding and burnishing, folding and burnishing. Very important, so take the time to do it because it will make the folding of the purse, which is the next step, so much easier because the lines are established. Okay, so now we can start making our little purse. And like I said, those 3/4 inch ones are going to come together and they're going to be the top of your purse. These are going to be your sides that I'm folding in right now. So we just have to glue them together. And so I'm going to show you how we do that. So you take the fold line, here I'm showing you, and I put my finger right down where the fold line meets the other one. And you want to bring that fold line up. So it peaks, and then you're going to bring it down to join and align with the edge of your fold line there on the side. So again, finger in the corner so that you get a nice crisp line there. I fold it up a bit, help it peak, and then bring it together and bring it down. The first few times you do this, it's fiddly, not going to lie, but by the time you get around the purse, you're going to be having no problem with it. So now you line it up there, hold it nice and tight with my thumb and finger, and you can see that loop of paper there inside the purse. That's what you want to burnish down. So I've got everything lined up really nicely, and now I'm just going to run my finger down it, and then I'm going to get my bone folder in there, and I'm going to make sure that's well burnished down. That's going to help hold this in place and not pop up on you. So don't skimp on doing that, because it's an important step. So that creates now the one part of the 4 corners of your purse. Now gluing and putting in your handles. You can put the handles in at the very end, like I did with the other one. I actually used the little heart flatbacks to adhere my can't talk. To adhere my handles to the purse. You can also put the handles right in now, and then you're going to glue just in that area of that triangle. So I'm going to grab something to help me to make my handles with, because I hadn't thought about that, and I'll be right back. I just still show you here. This is the little flatbacks that I use to put the handles on this little purse. So you can do it that way as well, or you can do it like this, which is how the girl showed it originally in her video she did. And I've picked this cotton lace that I had in my stash, and you just want to put it evenly, of course, from the edge, and you're going to adhere it down, and then those will be in place as your purse is coming together. Your handles will be within the sort of the seams, as I would call it, being a sewer, but within the folds of the paper. So go ahead and measure out what length you want for your handles, and then I use hot glue because I'm using lace, and that is my glue of choice when I am gluing lace. So I just grabbed my spatula there, and I am pressing that into the glue into the lace, or the lace into the glue, and then we can finish doing the gluing of the paper, and be that little triangle. So, and just be careful you don't twist your lace when you're doing your handles. Some of you may have noticed I actually did twist my lace when I was putting my handles in. I quickly fixed that afterwards, but it looks fine here. I didn't twist it here, but when I ended up going to glue it, I somehow managed to twist it, or maybe it was on the other side. But anyways, I did manage to twist it. So just be aware it's easy to do, and so you might just keep an eye out for that you don't twist your lace. So now we're going to glue down these little triangles. I've just got some art glitter glue in one of these little squeezy bottles. You want to just go in this little triangle area only. Do not glue anywhere else, and try and keep your glue within that area, and don't go too much up into the point, because you don't want a lot of glue oozing out, because it will glue things together where you don't want them glued. So burnish that down really well, however you like to burnish, with your fingers, with a bone folder, with whatever, but you just want that stuck down there. And that is, see how that comes up? And that is the corner of your purse. First one done. So now you're going to do that fold again, where you put your finger right in the corner where that burnished edge comes down, and you want it to peak up, and then you want it to that peak to come down and meet the side of your purse. So there we are. It's meeting nice and flush. And then you get that fold inside your purse that I just pushed down with my finger, and then take your bone folder in there and give that a good burnish so that is really nicely flattened down, because that really helps in keeping your purse nicely folded. And then again, now we're going to add glue into the triangle, and I just do a little bit on the paper there, and then you fold that over. And again, so you're just wanting to glue, so pay attention to the top corner and make sure that no glue seeps out there, because you really don't want it sticking inside your purse at that corner, because it'll affect how the purse folds up. And there's the front or the back of your purse. There it is, guys. Isn't that cute? And now you do the other two sides exactly the same. So I just fold up those areas that I want to peek up, and just to sort of training the paper to make it go in the right direction. Just I should have cut 2 lengths of lace. I would advise cutting your handles at the same time so that you have 2 pieces the same length, or you can do what I'm doing right now, and that's fussing with it and figuring out the length I need. And this is when I realized that I had twisted that first handle. So again, I just peeled the paper back and I redid it, and it wasn't that big of a deal to get it fixed. So there's always ways around it. But if you're worried about that, you can just do it with the handles on the outside and use a little flat back like I did, and put your handles on that way, or put them on with little buttons or something. So here is again that area on the purse that you want to peek up, and you want it to fold down towards the edge. And so again, I put my thumb in there, kind of press a little bit. It really helps it to fold in the right place, and you get a nice fold there. And then you line it up on the outside. And now it's difficult to see, but there is that fold inside again that you need to work with. So you need to hold it tightly. There's that fold. And that's what you want to press down and use the bone folder and really burnish it down so that it's holding your purse in place and establishing that nice triangle spot that you need to glue in, because it does that at the same time too. So now you've got your area there that's ready to go. I'm going to pop my lace handle in place, because it's easier to do that before you fold over any. You can glue the 3/4 inch fold that you did on the top of each side. That can be glued down as well. I forgot to do that. It's not a big deal. If you burnish it well, it stays down anyway. But also, if you want to glue that down, please feel free to do that, because she did do that in the tutorial. I just forgot when I was doing my tutorial, because it laid down so flat I kind of forgot about it. So the handle's in place, and there I am with my glue again. And this has a really fine little tip on the end of this glue bottle too, so it really prevents me from over gluing. It's almost impossible because so very small amount of glue comes out. But this art glitter glue is really very, very, adheres very well. It's just such a great glue. And so it is my preference, and you don't need to use a lot. So again, making sure that that's well stuck down. And now we're at number 3. And there, one whole side of the purse has come together, and you can see how that just sort of folds right in. And it looks exactly like that one that I upscaled last week. It was a little bit bigger, but you know what? This one is big enough inside to hold an adequate amount of gifts or little goodies or whatever. They are just the perfect size, I think. Okay, so there's my handles in place there, and that side is glued down, and we're working on the final corner of the purse. So it's just repetitious, really. It's putting in your handle if you're choosing to put your handles in this way, and gluing them down. Be careful, you know, hot glue is hot and that lace is full of holes, so I've used the small spatula because it really helps. Folding it up, so you want to peek that right up nice and crisp on that fold line. Put your thumb in the corner to help it bend down, and then fold it right down so it meets the edge of your purse. And you can see if you let go, it'll pop right back because there's a lot of tension on there now, especially with the other three sides finished. So hold it down and get your bone folder in there and get that crease, that area creased down, which is what I just did there, but I couldn't show you because it's just too hard. Now, by the time you reach the fourth corner, it's pretty hard to show the inside. And so get your glue on, just that little area. And again, glue it all down. Make sure it's glued down well. And you have finished your purse. So there's the inside there and the front and the back. And it comes together. You can, if you have to, push your sides in a little bit as you're folding it up. This paper really was very cooperative and just bent in really easily on the sides, but sometimes you have to push your finger on it a little bit to make it go in. And there you go. Your little purse is done. Looks exactly like the one I upscaled last week. Like I said, a little bit smaller, but these are super cute. And you can finish off, you know, how you want to finish it any way you want. I thought this rose would be just gorgeous as a closure on here. It just matches the colors in this paper. So I will probably use that. I love using laces as part of the closure on the, you know, on the, so that other times they use like a piece of, like the lady you'll see, she makes hers out of paper. She uses paper as her closure. But I, of course, wanted to use lace. And you can see that after you make them up, you can lay them flat. Isn't that cool? So they can go somewhere really easily, and when you want to use them, you just fold them up and they're ready to go. Or you could make up a bunch of them and then add your decorations on just before you send them off. So I just love these. I hope that you will try making one, and let's get on with decorating it. Okay, I'm back, and let's get on to decorating up this pretty little purse. I don't usually do videos showing my process of decorating, how I create a project, but I decided to go the whole distance on this one and actually show you some of my creative process using Kim's beautiful laces from AngeldreamCraftsKim and how I apply them to the project. So this is the back. It's not unusual for me to start with the back. Sometimes that's where I feel inspired to start. I go with whatever I'm feeling. So I had attached that piece of lace, the rose part, and that's, you can see the back of it's pinned on there at the top of the clip, or clipped on at the top. I haven't glued it in place. That's not unusual for me. I usually use clips or pins depending on my project and wait till I have a certain amount of things in place before I start applying glue. I do use hot glue, and so on paper it's very permanent. Often you tear the paper when you're trying to get it loose from there, and so I choose to create and clip in place and check 3 times, and then I'll finally get the glue going. So here I'm just fussy cutting out some laces from that beautiful lace that I got from AngeldreamCraftsKim. This is the one that has the blue flowers, the roses, the pink roses in the sort of bright pink and light shades, and the bows. And my plan is to use a lot of that lace on this project because it lends itself beautifully to these papers. Don't ask me where the papers are from because I don't remember. I've had them in my stash a really long time, and I don't have a lot for 12 by 12 papers because I don't buy them anymore. I usually use digitals. And so it's been a long time sitting in my stash. So I've cut out those little blue flowers and kept some of the little white strands look like beads on them. It's so pretty. And now I'm going to try and figure out what configuration of these flowers I want on the back of the purse. Of course, I want to use one of these little roses, but when I put it there and it's sort of free floating there all by itself, it really doesn't look right. So I go back to the lace and I'm going to cut out one of the little white flowers. So I'm off screen. I'm going to move on in just a second if you bear with me. Fussy cutting takes a lot of time, and also I tend to hold my items closer to me when I'm fussy cutting. I sort of have my arms extended out, which is not a natural position to be in when you're fussy cutting, and so I don't do a lot of it on camera either because it's actually quite hard on my shoulders and back. So here I've just cut out a white flower from that same lace, and I've put it there with that collection of blue ones. And now I'm just taking the green leaf off of there. I didn't like that one where that one was positioned. And I've put it back up there and I'm going to attach it. Now when I attach my laces, when I start attaching, and I actually use the hot glue, I just put a dot of hot glue in the center of the item and then put it down. That way all the edges are free and I'm able to slide things underneath or over top as I'm creating my sort of project, and in this case a collage of flowers and leaves. I can decide then whether I wanted them over top or underneath. If you glue the whole thing down, you're much more committed. It's harder to lift things off of paper and they tend to tear the paper. So that's the process I use, and I think that you might find it quite useful to use a similar process when you're putting your laces on paper. You always have time to go back and add extra little bits of glue here and there where things are still lifted up. So here I'm cutting a second one of the roses out, and this one's slightly different. The roses have different petals on them and they look a little bit different. So the one that I've cut out now is got a little bit different look to it, and I'm going to put that up there with the other one. And I know in my mind I was thinking I want another flower in this collection. So I take the white one that I've already cut out because I'm like, do I want to use that one? I've already got it cut out. I can move it around. It's not glued down. So I move it. And I'm like, yeah, I like how that looks. But now I need a replacement for the area where the blue flowers are, because I did like that white flower there, but I'm thinking maybe I would like a different one there. So I'm cutting out a different one of the white flowers. And my process for cutting is always the same. Little embroidery scissors, very sharp. I keep them dedicated just for that. And so it makes it easier to do the fussy cutting on the lace. And now I'm just going to try this one in there. And right away I know, although it looks pretty, I like the look of the other one, the shape of the flower and the way that the little scrolly bit came around. I liked it better positioned there where I'm putting it. I'm just checking to see that I've got it on the right side, because in the process of moving it around, I flipped it. And so it was wrong side up. And that's really easy to do, especially after you fussy cut them out. Sometimes on some of the laces, it's really difficult to see front and back. So you have to kind of look twice. And so the second white fussy cut flower I cut out, I've put it up there at the top with the two roses. And I've slid it underneath the rose because I had that option. And because remember, I only glued it down right in the center. And when you're designing and putting together these things, I find that that's a really great way of being able to really have a good look at things before you make a commitment to glue it down. And in the end, I find I'm happier that way, because a lot of times when I'm designing, I will put things on a project and then I will walk away. No glue applied, just clipped on, pinned on, whatever, and walk away. And then I come back and I look at it and I go with the feeling that I get when I look at it that second time after getting it out of my head for a while. And so this leaves me the opportunity then to move things around or to say, yes, I love it. And then I glue down. So I'm just moving that flower around. You can see now I moved it on top of the rose. It was slid underneath. And now with the leaves coming in, I'm moving things around and I'm liking it on top better. And the reason I think in my mind that I do that is because there's a lot of pink in that corner. There's a lot of pink with the two different flowers. And I like the little bit of white. And you can see I'm holding that rose down and just putting the tiniest little bit of glue behind it to get it stuck down. So it doesn't move around a lot. I get it positioned and then I can always go back and add more glue. But I don't find I need a lot. And I don't squeeze my glue gun very hard. I just squeeze it really lightly and rub the glue over the laces, especially when they've got a lot of holes. Here I'm placing that lace and I do keep it over top the roses. And then we add in the little flowers. So that's how I go about. I fussy cut things out. I try them in the position I think I'm gonna like them. And then I get out my glue and I glue them down. And I find that that process works really well for me. I use it when I'm doing doily books, lace books, whether I'm working on paper. I use that same process all the time. And I will eventually glue the blue flowers down in the corner. I think I'm starting that now because I do like that collection in that corner. In the end, it expands from there and gets a bit bigger. And more goes on the back of this purse. But for now, you've seen my process. The rest of it is going to take some time, fussy cutting out flowers, positioning, walking away, coming back. So I'm going to show you the end result after, and let's move on to the front of the little purse. So I've just flipped it over and we'll start now on the front of the purse. I do have the little purse resting on a little tin can that I have with a decorated lid that I have on my desk. I use that little tins like that on my desk to hold different acrylics and little pieces that I want close by. And I have them all decorated because I just find that really pretty and inspirational. I'm better with a tidy desk that has these pretty inspirations on it. Now that's not to say at this very minute there isn't a pile of Kim's laces off to the side of in the one corner of my desk because I've just been doing a project. But when I tidy those up and put them away in their box, then I have this nice surface with pretty containers and pretty things to inspire me. And I really like that environment to work in. So you saw me auditioning the pretty rose there on the corner. That is part of the same lace where the bigger rose comes from that's there that I'm going to be using as the closure. And so I do decide to fussy cut out that rose and I do consider using it. And then I also decide I want to put some of these smaller flowers from that same lace in the upper corner here. And again, not gluing that in place. I could glue that in place. I could have glued it at the back, but I just tend to be very non-committal at first and leave my options open because otherwise sometimes then I'm unhappy with my end project. So I just use the clip and I'll get to gluing it down when the time comes. So I'm fussy cutting out leaves and these little flowers from this lace and just using my little sharp embroidery scissors and cutting away. A lot of the time is spent with me fussing with the pieces on the project and doing the cutting. But I really enjoy that, and a lot of times I will gather up my laces and my scissor and I'll go and watch my favorite show or my secret favorite indulgence, which is General Hospital, and it's a great, very exciting soap right now. Lots of things happening, and so I will do it while I'm watching a TV program, and that way I get a little bit of TV time in and I get my fussy cutting done. It's messy if nothing else, because the little bits are coming off. But my grandson loves to come with the roller brush and roller brush up all the pieces that have fallen. And he even says to me, I need to roller brush you, Nana, because the front of my clothing will be all covered with little bits. But that's my little helper. So I don't mind. It's great fun. So fussy cutting, you have to love fussy cutting. But it's not the same as fussy cutting on paper. Fussy cutting on lace is more forgiving, and I find it very relaxing and enjoyable. So if you haven't tried it, I highly suggest it. And Kim's laces in her shop lend themselves so well to doing that cutting up. So have a look at them. I think almost every single one, that I got in this package, the DT package I just got, I have cut up. So here's that rose again. She's very, very pretty. I love these roses in this lace. They're really, really lovely, lovely details. Shiny thread in them. And yeah, really, really nice. I do spend a lot of time, getting the little bumps and things off of that I don't want. And in the end, I don't decide to go with this rose and this rose placement on here. And the reason is because to me, it looks really pretty. I love it. But it's the two big roses. I really decide I want to use that one for the closure. And I just find that this rose with it just seems to me too much on the front of a small little purse. And so I also want to use more of the laces that Kim has sent. I really love the white lace with the pink bows and the pink flowers that I already was using on the back side. And I generally like to have the fronts and the back be a little bit cohesive and go together. So I decide not to use that big rose and to go back to fussy cutting more of the white and blue lace and with those pink roses that I used on the back side of the purse, and cut more of that up to use on the front. So it's really the same process I used on the back. Lots of fussy cutting, lots of placement, fussing here, fussing there. So I'm just gonna edit a little bit more of this out and see if I can come back and show you the process of where I'm at with that lace. So here I am back with the front, and I've taken away that big rose that was in the corner. I've decided to use this really, really pretty heart lace that is from Kim's shop. It has the most beautiful detail on it, and I've decided to put a piece of that across the bottom. I do like to leave a little bit of sort of dangling off the end, because when the purse sits flat, that sort of sits out a little bit, and I just think it looks so pretty. As you can see there, see how it kind of sits out? I think it just looks so pretty. So as you saw before, everything sort of fell down when I took it to see how that lace laid. I had taken that big rose away, the one in the corner, and I had fussy cut out some more of the pink roses with the long green stems and had put them on. And I'd also cut out one of the little bows from the lace. And I'm just watching myself there and kind of laughing because I almost glued those two leaves down onto the bag, and that would have been a big mistake, because that particular piece is your closure, and it has to flip back in order to open up the purse. So if I'd have glued those down, I'd have had to lift them up. So lucky I caught myself before I did that. I think that's another reason I leave it loose and not attached, because sometimes I'll take it right off, but to, look at how things are placed. And there's the back. That's where I got to on it when we were looking at it before. You'll see in the finished project that I actually end up doing a lot more on the back as well. And so I just want to see if I'm going to bring those pieces back that I've got cut out there. You can see them laying on my desk. There I'm grabbing them. And these I want to place on my project. So I'll play with them. They're where you see them right now, that is where they end up. They do move around a bit, and the bow moves around a bit, but they do end up right back there, which is where I put them initially. I really liked how they looked there, and I like the little doodad acrylic flower in the middle of that bow. So that will remain the same, and I will be adding more of those pink flowers and some of the blue ones onto the front. I've got the piece in front of me there. I'm going to head actually to watch a program and do some fussy cutting to get all those pieces cut out of there, and then I'll be back. Hi everyone, it's Karen. I'm back with the finished little purse. So the last time that I left you, it was yesterday, and I was just showing you how I was starting to do the decorating process. And then I went off camera and I I finished it. So some of this you saw and some of it is changed because that is all part of my creative process. And it took me a few hours because I had to do a lot of fussy cutting and to come up with the way I wanted this purse to be. So first you might notice the handles are changed. After I got it all decorated, I didn't like the cotton that I'd chosen for the handles. It was a little bit too heavy and wide. So I swapped it out for some frayed chiffon in this pinky color, which matches some of the pinks in the actual bag and everything. So I like that better. And so I ended up attaching, I cut it right off. If you do the same thing and you change your mind, I just cut it flush right across the top there where it came out between the paper, and I attached it on the outside underneath the florals that are here. Always can change things. It's always possible. This is a beautiful lace I got in my design team package. And as you can see, there's a lot of it on this bag. The colors just really went well. This blue and the pink is the colors in the papers. And this is a designer paper, a 12 by 12 sheet that I've had in my stash for forever because I don't buy 12 by 12 papers. I use digitals mostly now. So I did do a lot of fussy cutting last night too. That was a part of what I did, and that is I did some of it I think on camera and I edited some out. I did go ahead with the rose on the front, from this gorgeous lace, and this was the one I cut out. You can see I've been cutting away at this lace, so there's lots that I fussy cut out of that too. I fussy cut out flowers like that and also the smaller ones like this and use those. And so there I made like, you know, a whole collage of things on the front. I'm gonna flip the little rose up. I did put that one of Kim's gorgeous blings in the center of that rose. I just love that bling, and the weight of the bling actually does help to hold this type of closure down. I didn't want to put a Velcro on this one, so I just did that. So that just flips back and it will open up. I put another one of the roses from that collection right underneath that one. You don't really see it so much, but it's kind of a big nice surprise when you flip that back. These are more of that lace fussy cut out here, and you can see just on the edge there where that chiffon ribbon is attached. These long stemmed flowers are on this lace and they're so pretty. They're here, or which way did they go? Let me think. That's not the one I want to show you. It's a smaller flower. There they are here. That's the bigger one in the center. They're here and here. They branch out along the bottom of there, and they're long stemmed. So beautiful. So I cut those and fussy cut those out, put them here. I tucked a little bit of the other lace in behind, added a couple of flat back pearls to that one, to those flowers. Did a collection here, and then here's another one of those long stemmed, I think they're roses. Then here's some of the blue part of that lace, which I thought matched so pretty. I've got this propped up on a box to try and keep it so that you can see it. So the blue flowers are here in this lace, and they do come attached to some of the little pieces that come down here. So I did fussy cut out some, and I left some of those pretty little tendrils in here, and then just fussy cut the blue ones out and rearrange them. I really enjoy taking the laces and cutting them out like fussy cutting and rearranging the laces together. Like, you know, I blended this lace with the rose, and on this one I blended that lace behind the roses. Here is the bow, and then 4 more of the little blue flowers. Now the bow is right here in the lace, and I cut it out in stages. I cut it out with the white around it first, and I just didn't care on this project with the white, so I fussy cut out all the white, including in the center of these flowers. And with this little sharp embroidery scissor that I only use for this type of thing, so it never gets dull, because it's the tip that often gets dull, and it's the tip you need to be able to do this fine little fussy cutting to take away that white. So I did that on this one, and that's the little bow there in the corner, and I added one of Kim's little acrylic flowers to that, and I just love those acrylics that she has in the shop. Hopefully she still has them if you're wanting them, because they really are very pretty. And then on the bottom, I used the heart lace. I don't think I have it handy here, but it looks just like it does here. I just cut a piece and put it there. And I like on the purses just leaving a little bit of a overhang there, because when you set the purse down, that actually stays up like that and looks really cute. And then I didn't show you on the first one, but I love feet on a purse. So here's the first one, little daisies with little shiny bits, and then this one. So I used the little daisies again. Those are from Kim's shop, and then they were in another design team package. And then I added these little acrylics that are dimensional. They're flat backs, but they have a pearl in the center, and it sits up quite high. So it actually works really well for on a little box like this for feet or a little purse. I just love that detail on a purse of having the little feet. So I love putting that detail on. I love this chiffon ribbon, but I just grabbed my grandson's scissors there because they're on my desk. He sometimes sits and crafts with me. And the other day he said, "Can I please leave my scissors on your desk?" And I said, "Of course you can." So that's what I ended up grabbing. But it worked. The chiffon is notorious for fraying, which is beautiful and not at the same time. We'll just use them again because they worked well. They're actually sharp little scissors. I just cut off some of the threads when they get in the way. So that's the front of the bag all finished. We can flip that back and have one more look. And then I'm just going to turn it around and show you what I did with the back. I don't know why, but I can never stop at just the front, because someone is going to turn this around when they get it. And I just want them to think it's beautiful from every angle. So here's what I did with the back. I made a flower to go over top the leaves that came down from the other side of the lace applique that I created for the closure. And what I did with that was, this was the lace I got from AngeldreamCraftsKim. This one was in my favorites and my haul video. And it's a gorgeous lace, but of course, look at me. I did use some of it like in its whole in another project, but there's me cutting it up already. And what I did was I'm keeping this intact. You can see when I cut up laces, I don't just cut everything up, because I might want to use this in its entirety. And if I've cut it in a strip and it's just smaller pieces, I feel it's not as useful. So I will purposely take the time to cut something up. So this time when I cut just inside this solid line here. So these kind of become kind of more loose because they're threads. So I cut inside here, and then you can see a triangle here, just here, and that's what I cut. And I cut 4 of them. And you can see this is this sort of fuzziness that you get on the edges. That's what happens when you cut away the solid piece that was holding it. I think I glued a lot of my pieces down here. So there it is there, you can see it. Whoa, maybe there. So there's that fuzziness of the lace. And what I did was I took those 4 pieces and I gathered them together in a circle. So there's 1, 2, there's one behind here, 3, and there's one at the bottom, 4. And I created the base of the flower, and then I used some of this pieces from this lace. I don't have much of it left really, but the little pieces that were like this flower with some of the leaves, and I added that as my second layer. Actually, I didn't add these leaves right away. I added that as my second layer. I added one of the flowers that's from this same lace, from the really colorful one. This one, that's this flower right here, cut out, is in the center. And then one of the little blings, acrylic blings from Kim's shop, is the very center. Then I added in these 2 little leaves on each side, again from that rosy and pink lace. And then I cut out another bow and I added that on the bottom here. And this time you can see this bow looks a little different, because when I was cutting it out the first time, I saw really two bows in there, and it's just a decision as to which one you want. So there's the bigger bow with the pink, I'm just looking at the pink loops and the tails here in the center. And then there's a smaller one that's here and here, and take away these top pink loops. So I decided for the back, I would cut it out differently. So again, used my little scissors, took my time and fussy cut the whole thing out. So I just had the pink little bow, and then I added it there with another one of the pretty acrylics from Kim's shop. And of course, look at that blue with the pink center. It just, again, goes so nicely with these papers. It was like they were meant to go together, and I had no idea that I was going to even pick this paper in particular when I got my laces. But when I started looking at my papers, I really liked this one. And then I looked at it again and I thought, oh my goodness, it goes with these laces so perfectly. So again, the whole back is like a collage, again, of the blues and the roses and the white flowers and they're all from this lace. It's just a matter of where you're cutting them out from. So the white ones are here, the different white ones, the blue ones, and then, of course, if I hold it the right way, and that's the pink, the roses, and then the pink bows. All fussy cut out. Now, anything I didn't use, like I saved this netting piece, any of these that I didn't use, I saved them. I saved them all because you know what? I know I'm going to want them for something else at some point, and so you save them. I also used some of the leaf trim that was on the top of my design team package, and I know it was here. Let's see, there it is. This was, Kim had given me just a little piece of that. And I used I cut them individually, and I put two here on this side. And I think there might be some on the other side. Oh, there's two here. And I also like to go up the handles a little bit with the laces. So on this side, I did this little piece up here, and this side has the green leaves from the rose go up. And yeah, so that's the back. I think it turned out really pretty. I love it. I love all the detail. Inside, what I did was I added in some of the pink trim here. I just cut out these two separately in the leaves, and I just placed them on there just to add some detail to that little area in here. I just think it looked pretty. The rest of it, I did not decorate. I just left it plain. Again, these can be stored completely flat, which I think is so cool. And then when you're ready, you just can take them out, make it up, put your gift in, and you're ready to go. So how fun is that? I mean, whenever you can sit down and make up a bunch of these and then have them ready is just such a great idea. This one, I could add little Velcro dots just inside here on either side. Oops, get the handle out of the way. In here, just one on each, on each side to close it tighter, but I just don't think it's really necessary. I know that when I fill this with something, whatever I fill it with, I'll probably put a little bit of tissue paper in there as well. So it's not, I'm not too worried. And this, it does stay quite well closed with this pretty rose. And I didn't want to put a Velcro dot here like I did the other one, because to me, I just didn't like the look of it. Whereas on the other one, if you're using a white lace, the Velcro dot's hardly visible. And so to me, I didn't mind that. So, you can do that too. That's an option. So those are the two little purses, and aren't they just so cute? And all laces and blings from Kim's beautiful Etsy shop. Go over and shop and pick up some things for yourself. Have a look. I know the designers are receiving their packages now for July and August. So go over and have a look and see what laces they're getting, and go back and see what they're creating, because I know that they're creating things to inspire you. And I hope you're all having a great start to your week and are having some fun in the sun, because that's what I'm doing. And I'll talk to you all soon. Bye for now.